Okay, so this is a solution for assignment number week one assignment, and so I just realized that I didn't really give you the rubric or how I was gonna um, grade your work. So as long as for at least for week one, as long as you submit your work before the deadline, you'll get a 100% on that one. But moving forward, we'll make sure that we have pointers on what are the aspects of your homework or class assignment will be graded and what the associated points on each one. In fact, as I solve this or show you the solution for the assignment from last week, I will also pinpoint which are the things that I'll be looking for. Okay, so this on the right side, this is the instruction for your homework, and on the left side is my Power BI desktop. You notice on the top left corner, it's still called untitled. So I would suggest that before you get started, you assign a name to your file, and we will have a naming convention for our work. Okay, so um, right now it's easy for you to find the file because you probably have one or two files, but eventually you will have so many files if you continue learning about Power BI, and so you would like to have an organized way of sorting your files. Okay, so to save, you can either use this floppy disk icon or the save icon, or you can go to file and then click save as. I'm gonna save this on my device and I'm gonna navigate to where I want it saved. Okay, so our naming convention will be the week number underscore. If it's an assignment, then name it assignment. If it's classwork, name it classwork underscore your name. Okay, so mine is Jen. I'm just gonna say Jen Banks. Okay. All right, so this is our naming convention. This is gonna be 2 points if you name them correctly. Week number underscore assignment or classwork underscore then your name. All right. And you can check in the upper left corner again that the name is already saved. Okay, so it says here, open a Power BI desktop, which we did. Click transform data. So I'm gonna go to transform data and then transform data again. And now my Power Query editor will open up. It would look something like this. Let me adjust this so we can see our instructions. All right, so this is our Power Query editor. As you can see on the left-hand corner under queries, you don't have any queries yet. And so we will load up our data. So this is the file that we want. So I'm gonna copy this. All right. Okay, so we go to new source. This is how we upload data. We will go to blank query. Okay. And then in the top navigation bar, step number 6, click on Advanced Editor. So under Home, you can see the Advanced Editor right here. We're gonna delete this, and we're gonna paste the code and click Done. And so um this is your table. All right. So we're good with that. Now, number 9 says click done, then this will open. Okay, so we did that. And so now once you open, it's really good for you to once you open it, look at your data set and at least study them. All right. So let's review a little bit first. On this left navigation bar, the one with queries, it will tell you all the queries that you have. Right now, we only have one table or one query. And then in the middle area, this is where you'll see the table that you uploaded. Now, if you have multiple here, you can just switch and then you can see whichever query. Or in this case, I'm just gonna interchangeably use query and table. Right now, we're only using table. On the right navigation bar, you'll see your query settings. In the query settings, let me make this one a little bit larger for now. You will see the name, which is the same as the query right here. It says query 1. And then underneath it, you will see the applied steps. So the applied steps, these are the things that you have done to your data set. And right now, it automatically changed. You did not really do the change type, but Normally when you open a file, it's smart enough to try to guess what kind of um, data types each column is. Okay. All right, so let us try look at step number 10. These are following questions. So each one of these questions, if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions, each one of these will be 10 one, I mean 2 points. So 2 points for the naming, 2 points for each question. All right, and these questions really just help you to go through your file and at least try to be familiar with your data. Okay. All right, how many columns are there? That's easy enough. Okay, I'm gonna do this here. So they have ID, company name, address, date. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Number of employees is 5. So you have 5 columns. So I expect you to answer 5 in there. How many rows? Well, in here you can see that there's 20. But what about if you have thousands or even millions sometimes of row? Well, you can't really just scroll all the way down. The Power Query will only show you the top 1,000 rows. You can adjust this, but the default will be top 1,000 rows. So how do we find the number of columns if it's more than 1,000? So you go to transform. This is not understanding how many rows. Okay, go to transform, and then it says count rows down here under transform, and you click that, and you will have 20 rows. Okay. Now we want to do something else about this. So we don't really want to be 20 to be our last um, data that's visible on our table. So I'm going to just delete this, remove this step. So these are the applied steps. I can just remove that. But now I know that there are already 20 rows. Okay. That's number second bullet point. Sort the date, which company has the earliest date. So when you sort date, you go to the date column, click this drop down, and there's a way of sorting date. So when you do ascending, so that would mean earliest up to the latest date. Descending would be latest date up to the latest date up to the earliest date. So we want to find the earliest date. So I'm going to go ascending. And so the first data or date here is January 15th, 2023. So that would have been the answer for this one. Now sort the table by company name ascending, which company is in the first place. So you go to company name. Now, by the way, if you notice, since I already sorted this by date, then the first sorting by date will always be there. Okay. So if I sort this one more time, what's really happening here, you can see that Microsoft is first when in fact Microsoft is letter M, Apple is letter A, right? So Apple should have been the first one, but not really because of the way you sorted things out. Since we sorted by date first, that's the first sorting mechanism that's in. And so if there are multiple companies that had a date of 1/15th, then after you sort the company, they will be like after the dates, if you have multiple January 15th, then let's say assuming you have 5 of them, then the 5 of them will be sorted alphabetically. Okay. So if you just want to sort a company by name, then maybe you can get rid of the sort so that we can get rid of the sorting by dates. I'm going to remove that. So now it's not sorted again. Now they can click on sort ascending. And then now Adobe is the first company, which is letter A because it's ascending. Okay. All right. Who has the most employees? So you can go on the employee. If you want the most employee, then again, you can sort this. So since the same problem, since we already sorted it by company, I'm going to remove this because I just want to know which company has the most employees. So therefore, I'm going to sort this one again, but this time I'm going to go descending so that I can get the biggest number going down. So the company that has the most employees is Amazon. All right, so now this one, question number 10 is really more on you trying to get to know about your data set. Now, number 11, these are tasks to be performed. So now we're ready to add a new column. So right now you have 5 columns, right? So we want to add a new column called year. And so you go based on the date. So what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna I still want the date. And so therefore I'm just gonna duplicate this date. So you can highlight that column and then you go right click and it says duplicate column. And so this duplicated column, this will be my year column. Okay, this will be my year column. I'm gonna call it year. And I'm gonna transform this. So right now you have date, right? I'm gonna transform this. I'm gonna right click, go to transform. So really transform means you just want to make changes. All right, and I'm gonna go the year. You can either actually just say the actual year, the start of the year, the end of the year. So this time we just want the year. Okay, so that's this part right here. The next one is we want to create another column that grabs the month. So therefore, we will copy this one again. I mean, duplicate that column. And this one, this time, this will be the month column. Okay. And right now, since you still have date, you'll again transform it into month. But this time, what you have when you try to transform it into month, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 5 options. You can either click the month, which will give you the numerical um, number of the month, like January is 1, February is 2. So if you just click month, this will be the number equivalent of your month. You can also do start of the month. Like if it's March, it'll be March 1st. Or the end of the month. So if it's March, it'll be March 31st. Days of the month. So if you want to know how many days in each month, then you click this one. But what we really want is the name of the month. So when you say name of the month, this is where you actually get the names January, February, March. Okay. All right. So let me try days of the month first, just so you can see what it looks like. All right, since this is March, then of course it has 31 days. April is 30 days. August is 31 days. Okay, so that's not really what we want. So therefore, I'm gonna go back, transform. Actually, since I already transformed the month into the number of days, so therefore these are now numbers. It's not a date. It's not a date data type anymore. So I'm just gonna cancel this applied step because right now what I did is I just wanted to see how many months, right? So this is just more on investigating. So I'm gonna remove this. So now it's back to month. Now I'm gonna go and transform in under month. I'll go name of month. And so now these are text values. All right. So each one of these will be, the tasks are 3 points, investigation are 2 points. So everything in number 10 is 2 points each. Everything in the task is 3 points each. All right. The next one is days. So I'm going to copy the date again, duplicate that, duplicate column. This time, I'm going to name this days. All right, it will be the same thing. You could right click, transform. Under day, we want the name of the day. All right. All right, here we go. So these are your days, the name of the day. So now we know that March 12th, 2023 was actually a Sunday, or June 16th, 2024 was a Sunday also. All right, next one, split the address column such that it separates the street, city, and state. Okay, so now we go to address here. All right, we will split this. So if you want to separate this by street, city, and state, if you just look at one of them here, so the address 1600 Amphitheater Parkway, it there, and then you have Mountain View, that's your city, and then CA is your state. You notice that they're separated by a comma and a space. So you can either separate them with a delimiter, comma and space, or just comma or just space. Okay, so let's investigate what will happen if we try one of those. All right, so when you do split column, what I taught you last time is you go right click and you go split column right here. But really, if you go to home, now actually transform, you can also find split column here. Under transform, you can also find split column there. There's a drop down, and then you go delimiter. Okay, so let's say we want it by comma, and we want every occurrence. So meaning if you have 2 commas, then it'll get split into three columns. If you have five commas, it'll split into six columns, okay? Leftmost would be just whichever is the first comma, it'll separate into two. And the same thing with rightmost. Okay, so let's click OK. So this time we just separate it by comma. Okay. So this is address 1, which is your street. Now look at address 2. So let's rename this. So this will be your street. This is city. And then this one is your state. All right. Since we use the delimiter comma, and remember we the address, let's look at this one right here. Look at the address. So you have comma, and then after a comma, there's a space before you have the city. So therefore, when you go back here, as you can see, I can go back to every different state, steps, and see what were they at that point. Okay, so now if you notice in city, before the word Seattle, there's a space, right? That's what you call a leading space. Okay, it's a leading space. It's a space in front of your text. Okay, and that's because when you split the address, there was a comma and then a space. So they just split on the comma, so therefore the space went with Seattle. And the same thing with the state here. So what you can do is to remove that leading space. Okay, so there are many ways. Let's do a couple of ways. All right. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna duplicate this so you can see what's happening. Okay. So this is the let me get. I want them side by side so you can see it. All right. So the city copy is the one that I'm gonna just be my baseline, and I'm gonna delete that later on. So all right, let's observe what will happen. So what I can do is again highlight the word the column city and go to transform and go to replace values. Okay, so what I want is anything that has a space, just click one time. So there's the space. I want to replace it with nothing. All right, you see that it moved one space. All right, so that's one way. Now, as you can see, there are some, the space in front of Seattle, of Armonk, they were removed, okay? I'm gonna delete this because I don't really need that anymore. Okay, now another one would be to go right click because state is a text. You can go to transform and you can click the word trim. You can use trim. Trim means if you have a leading space or a trailing space, meaning if there's a space after the word or a space before the word, it will remove that. So I'm going to click trim. And again, it removed the trailing space. And so I'd like you to remember this because this will be part of your classwork for the second week. All right. Next is we want to rename them, and which I did. All right. So each one of these again is 3 points, and I think this is the end of it. All right. So now that we have finished it, then we go back to home, close and apply, close and apply. All right. And then now we want to, there should be something here that says loading. And of course, you won't really see it right now because we have not done visualization first. Now on the left panel, that's your report view, which you won't see anything, but on your table panel, you should see your table. Okay. All right. So now, since we're done with that, go back to report. Make sure you save your work. Okay. Now, once you save your work, this is the one that you will upload in your assignment. Okay. Some of you have submitted, like they took a screenshot of the work. So what they did is like this. They took a screenshot, and that's also acceptable as long as I can see every single one. I'd like to see the steps as well if you can. All right, so this is your assignment. Good luck with this week's. I'm gonna be some recording videos for a little bit, little steps, activities for this week's classes. All right, enjoy.